If you grill it, he will come.
Hey.
Hey.
Is this heaven?
Nope. It's Fareway.
Alabama, Roll On North America Tour, presented by Kenworth. Saturday, October 19th, Wells Fargo Arena. Special guest, Exile, Alabama, live. All your favorite songs from the greatest country band of all time. On sale now at HighVTix.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
What up? Welcome to Two Guys with Chris and Chris here on Iowa Everywhere. It is the 30th of September, and time to go. Iowa's off its bye. Iowa State is 4-0 for the first time since the year 2000. My name is Chris Williams. I'm joined by Chris Hassel, who is back from his elitist bird-watching vacation in Vermont. And Maddie Van Winkle is here as well. We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. Great baby backs that I made over the weekend. Thank you to Fareway for that. We are in the Channel Seed Studios. Happy harvest to all of our Channel Seedsmen and their great customers who are out in the fields. It's going to be a beautiful week for harvest in the state of Iowa. Impeccable weather. Unfortunately, those in the southern United States are going through a horrific time, and we've been thinking about them. I know we have a lot of listeners down there, and thoughts to you. Hassel, did you have any hard time getting back, or because I know you're on the other side of Florida, I didn't get you too much, but I know it's just impacted everybody.
No, I didn't have issues getting back. We didn't have to fly through Atlanta on the way back. We flew through Atlanta on the way there, and we got out just in time, and that area just got crushed. I mean, mostly up in the mountains, Appalachia, North Carolina. It's terrible. And then there was like a big biochemical fire just outside Atlanta yesterday. Did you see that?
I did,
It's like they were telling everybody to stay indoors and turn off their air conditioning.
Awful. Well, I am wearing my Braves jersey today for a couple reasons. One is because we got a big doubleheader with the Mets to involve playoff time. But you know how the South is. Everybody's a Braves fan in the South. So we're thinking about everybody down there. And hopefully the Braves can bring a little bit of joy to those. I just spent all that time down there this summer. My wife and I were looking last night at like a lot of the places that we were at, and just the flooding in the mountains. It's
terrible.
It's just awful. So thinking about all those great folks down there in the southern United States. We do have a lot to get to today. Iowa playing Ohio State. Iowa State with every game's massive right now for both of these teams with everything to play for. But Iowa State, Hassel, is ranked 16th in the country now. What are we going to call it? What a workmanlike win over Houston. How do you describe? Because I know you were watching it. You were just irritating your wife. You guys are on this bird watching romantic getaway, and you're just watching football the entire weekend on your phone.
Yeah, she wasn't very happy about that.
How did that go over, by the way? Where are you at? It looks like you brought your laptop, a iPad, and were you like a bar? What's going on right here in this picture?
I brought my whole backpack with me when we went out to eat on the last night. It was Saturday night. And so I had my laptop, I had her iPad, and I had my phone. And then there were TVs in the bar, of course. But I had to, they weren't going to put on the Iowa State game in the bar.
No.
So, they had on the Alabama-Georgia game, and they had the Penn State-Illinois game. And then I had Iowa State game on the laptop. I had a little quad box going on my phone. I mean, it was really a fun viewing experience outside of the fact that my wife was pissed the whole time.
Did in Vermont, do they even care about college football?
I was wondering about that because, for the most part, New England doesn't. But this time of year in that town, Stowe, Vermont. A lot of, it's a tourist town. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people coming from all over the country. So it's not necessarily locals. And yes, they had quite a bit of college football on. I met an Ohio State fan there that was all fired up to try to get the game on Peacock. They had it. They had Peacock at the bar. They were ready to go. They launched it. They launched the cock.
So it's leaf peeping, then college football, then NFL.
For me?
No, for the Vermontians.
Vermont.
Oh, yes. The leaves are about a week, maybe a week and a half from being peak, but they were still pretty damn good. I mean, I was peeping the hell out of those leaves. Just peeping the hell. We went up on a
You're
gondola.
Just looking at the color of the leaf, like that's
Sure, yeah.
You know, you can do that in Southwest Iowa. You've ever been to Waubonsee State Park?
Dude, there's no trees in Iowa. Because
the hell, there aren't any trees.
They're not. They cut them all down to
trees
farm.
Everywhere.
Southwest Iowa. That's basically another country to me. Growing up in
Los
Muscatoon.
Hills, man. The Los Hills. We got all sorts of trees.
Los. I thought they were the Lus Hills.
Whatever. Same thing. You know what they're the bluffs. We got all sorts of trees. I love a good cornfield before harvest too. There's nothing better than that. Sun setting. Look at a beautiful cornfield, the beans.
It was rough though. Before we went to that bar for the Iowa State game, we went to dinner, and it was at this place that didn't have any TVs, and they didn't have Wi-Fi, and in the mountains there in Vermont, they did not have a good signal. So I kind of lost contact with the games for a couple hours, and I had to go outside every now and then just to check the scores. Wife wasn't happy about that.
All gas, no breakfast is watching on YouTube. He's referring to you as a leaf predator. Can we bookmark that for comment of the year? Almost to October. That's got to be one of the best comments we've
Nor'easter
had.
says that I'm looking slightly Asian today, and I was hoping nobody would recognize this.
You look hungover.
And I didn't have anything to drink yesterday. Here's the thing, though. It was a long travel day. Went to bed at like 8:30 and just got up. So I slept 12 hours, so I'm all puffed up. My eyes are all puffed. See, that's why I won't let you use any of those pictures of me from when we were back and we got those professional pictures taken because I was all puffed up. I can't be having those pictures circulating.
Let's not sugarcoat anything. We were hung over.
We were that day.
When we did that live show.
We were hanging out on your couch with Aiden, who doesn't drink, until like 3:30 in the morning, throwing around ideas.
You know what? Some great ideas were born that night.
And I got into your I'd never had them before. What are those things with like the
climbing
CBD in them?
No, that was real THC, Chris.
I don't even know the difference. CBD, THC.
You had the real stuff. Yeah. We have been drinking for probably close to 10 hours. And then Hassel dips into the climbing kites at like 3 a.m. I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be a disaster.
You didn't even say anything about my hat and my shirt. I came home to a nice little care package from Andrew Downs. Sent me this Instant Iowa hat and some Murph and Andy swag. I got the Murph and Andy sweatshirt. You know what? This could pass for a good whiteout thing to wear to the Iowa State game this week.
It could. Yeah, no, that looks cool. I didn't even know we were making Instant Iowa hats. That's awesome. Good for you.
Well, I mean, Andrew, you know, he's over at that AKC. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Dude, I've been using him for like crazy over at Cyclone Fanatic right now. So, yeah, no, good stuff.
There's the jersey that they you remember when Van Wink tried to claim that, no, there's going to be red on the jersey. There's no red on the jersey. It's the black and white. There's no school colors.
Black is the original Iowa State school color, you ignorant piece of shit. Go back into the 1900s, early 1900s. Black was their original school color.
That's because all the TVs were black and white back then. You didn't even know.
I actually learned something about why Iowa State switched from they were black and gold colors. It was couldn't. Yeah, because black and gold sweaters were hard to dye, I guess. So red was easier to dye, so they switched their color.
Wait a second. So Iowa State gave up on black and gold because it was too hard, and Iowa just kept on
easier
plugging
to make.
away.
No, we wanted to use our
We
brain
take the
cells
hard
on-
route. You know,
No.
you Iowa Staters, you elitists, always
No,
take
we-
the easy path.
It's called decision fatigue. I don't know if you ever heard of it. And Iowa Staters were like, we're going to focus on inventing the fucking computer instead of worrying about our football uniforms. And that's what we've done. So you're welcome. You know all those computers you were using when you were watching football at the bar in Stowe, Vermont on your elitist vacation? You can thank Iowa State University for that.
Okay, whatever. I don't buy it.
Real quick, Iowa State's game on Saturday night against Baylor, from what I've been told, is still not sold out. That thing better be a sellout, or I will be very disappointed. That thing, like, this is so rare for Iowa State, and you can make whatever commentary you want. Your dad's been giving me the business in our text group all weekend. Like, we're going to pull up pictures of the last time Iowa State was 4-0. Okay? Like, this, Matt was like 3.
Oh, it's been a while, brother.
No, I was 9.
This is so rare, like, and they could go 5-0 for the first time since 1980. And if you look at, like, it's so much fun, Chris, because if you look at all these college football playoff projections, Iowa State's in all of them right now.
Yeah, because they're really the only team other than BYU that hasn't taken a hit.
Yeah, and like, it doesn't mean that they'll be there.
Wow, that's a lot of unsold seats. Is that right now, Van Winks? All those seats
I
are
believe
available?
some of
I
those are
think-
verified,
looks
so
like
they're
the-
already
yeah.
purchased.
Yeah, the
Okay.
pink ones are already. The blue ones are,
Yeah.
are ones that have not been purchased.
Oh,
so-
okay. Thank
So,
God.
yeah,
Jesus.
most of them
they're
are
getting close.
They're getting close. Good
They're
pull
probably
right there,
less-
Van Winkle.
less
Grade
than
A
1,000.
producing right there. Yeah,
They're going
so
to have
like,
to.
I'm going. I'll be there.
Can they paint the bleachers white so that you can't even tell if nobody's there?
they are doing white pom-poms.
I know we talked about this. I don't
Yeah.
like that. There's no contrast. Give me some contrast.
My
Look how-
daughters are going to eat that up, man.
Think how cool it would be if it was a whiteout and they had cardinal colored pom poms.
I'll give you some contrast. Fireworks, drone show,
Yeah.
elite.
Here it's the drone show. Big bad drones tonight.
Is that
What-
Gary Allen?
What are they? What are they going to do with the drones?
I guess we'll find out. Call our friends over at Terraplex Ag. That's what they do. Maybe they're up there buzzing around.
If Iowa State loses this game, Matt Van
Why you got to
Winkle,
bring this into the
Matt
universe?
Van
It's
Winkle
Monday morning.
will fly a drone into his own ass.
Or can I fly it up his ass instead? Because
Yeah,
I wonder if it'd
you
be
will
hard.
fly the drone up his
Get
ass.
it.
All right, bend
Spon-
over, Matt.
Sponsored by Terraplex.
Yeah.
Put a camera on it.
Give you a little
We'll sell
colonoscopy.
anything here at Iowa everywhere.
The guy did it, by the way. The Kansas State
Yeah, he
guy
did.
did it.
Well, I mean,
What do you mean?
he
Well.
did shove the burrito partially up his ass. I'd love to know, like,
Dude, that
how
was-
much insertion there
Now
was.
don't show the picture, Van Winks.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't.
we don't want to get
I don't
kicked
want to
off.
see that because he put that thing a good 6 inches into his rectum. I mean, because that's a 5-layer beefy bean burrito, right?
Yeah.
I can't believe he did it. I can't believe it.
I respect it.
I sent it to the group, and my dad totally ignored it. Started talking about something else. I was like, "What? How could you be thinking about that at the moment this Kansas State fan stuck the burrito?" And he's like, "Oh, it's not even real." It's like, did you not look at the pictures? It's real.
Yeah, there's insertion there.
I mean, he gave the profile view and everything. Oh, I can't
Shane
believe
says
he did
that if Iowa State loses, Bloom has to shove an Amish bench up his ass.
How about the mini one that Hassel has?
I hate to break it to you guys, but I'm pretty sure Bloom has already done that.
All right, for real.
Yeah, so the game, it was a miserable game for most of it. I mean, Iowa State just kind of plugging away. There was a very Iowa-esque performance by Iowa
Yeah.
State against Houston.
It was.
You're never really that scared, but you're one play away from being in big trouble. One play
Well,
away.
Yeah, and I wonder, so Fritz did exactly what we kind of thought he would, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kept it on the ground, ugly game. Because they have a decent defense. That's the thing about Houston. Their defense isn't bad. It's their offense that is so pitiful. It reminds me of like what they are doing. Their defense is nowhere near what Iowa was, but their offense is like borderline, like that one-dimensional of what we've seen from Iowa in the past couple of years, where it's like it puts their defense in these precarious spots all the time and like whatever. I think when I watched it back, Chris, I think what Campbell and Mauser were doing offensively, it's in the middle of that game. I think they were just trying to outlast them and don't make a big mistake, because I think that they knew once they got up 2 possessions, the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, to me, that felt like get out of here with a win and don't give them any opportunity. Like they didn't put the offense in any spot to make a big mistake. Like it was very vanilla, very, they did the 3 tight end thing a lot in the first half, which I hate, but it was effective. Like they were able to run the ball with it, so I'm not going to rip them for it. But that was my feel on it. It was truly a get out of here with a win. We don't care about style points type thing. Because I think that they knew Houston ain't going to score on us. They were 1 of 10 on third down, didn't get into the red zone once. And once you got them down two scores, Houston had to put the ball in the air and you picked the guy off 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it didn't seem dominant, but I feel like it when I watched it back, it was like, yeah, this was a pretty dominant performance by that Iowa State team. That we can pick some stuff on the offense, and I will. Like the slow start thing has to stop when you start playing real teams, right? Like, but I'm somewhat confident that it will. Like we've seen this offense do really good things. It's not like they're not producing. The analytics are there. They're moving the football. They had a bad false start on the 2-yard line that kept them out of the end zone in that first possession. You get up 10-0 in the second quarter, you have no idea how that game goes. So I would give like the offense like a C in that game, but the defense pitched another shutout. Like that really John Haycock's group is playing some damn good football right now.
Yeah, I mean when you think of Iowa State, the first thing I think of is Rocco Becht and the pass catchers.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense is a little bit down the board. But, man, they have been great so far this season. And they needed to be in this game because, one big play you give up to Houston, and that's a totally different game. Like, I was starting to get worried when it was, it was getting late and Iowa State was not putting things away. And then all of a sudden you had the C's part and the offensive lineman pointing Sama in the right direction to the end zone, and the announcer.
We heard him in the Troy game against Iowa. Just remember he was.
Yes. Yeah. He was the guy that called this
gasping.
Eric Collins, the guy that just goes nuts. And look, in a game like that, you probably need an announcer like that because there was not that much to get excited about. And then Sama breaks that out, and you know that it's over. And when you look at this after the fact, I mean, this is not something that Iowa State has really ever done. Is go on the road in the Big 12 and play a game like this where you shut out an opponent. What was the stats? 1971, the last time they went on the road in the Big 12 and shut somebody out?
Yep.
Now, there's a caveat. I mean, this isn't the old Big 12. Houston is not a Big 12 level team yet.
No.
They might get there. They have potential. Willie Fritz is certainly a good coach, but that is a bad team. I mean, they've got to be the worst team in the league, right? I mean, is there anybody even close to their level right now in the Big 12?
I don't think so.
We thought it was going to be Arizona State, and that's not the case.
And like everybody thought BYU would be bad, and they're 5-0 or whatever they are.
I mean, right now the question might be who's the best team in the Big 12? Is it Iowa State or BYU? And I could make the argument that it's BYU resume-wise.
They have a better resume. The road win at SMU on top of everything else that they.
You saw what SMU did to Florida State. I know Florida State's not great, but
I'm not sold. BYU's resume, absolutely. I'm still not sold that they can be like legitimately like 10-2 at the end of the year. But we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Hell of a job by Kalani Sitake. I mean, he was one of the guys that was really on the hot seat going into this year. Him and Dave Aranda who they beat last week and is Iowa State's next opponent. And that's a weird thing, too. I was thinking over the weekend about college football, about how much can change in not much time, right?
Whew. No kidding.
If you think of a year ago right now, the talk was that guy at Houston and Matt Campbell being on the hot seat, right? Like, think about how much has changed in a year with
hot
that.
seat.
Yeah. BYU.
Lance Leipold was the hottest
Yeah.
coaching candidate, and now Kansas is sitting there 1-4.
And you're wondering if they have major culture problems, which is not like that's the anti-Lance Leipold thing. And then you look at BYU, like the exact same scenario. Like they were burying Satake. Now he's in the top 25 and like a legitimate contender to have BYU in the college football playoff. It's what a crazy, crazy sport.
Yeah, and how much have the odds to win the Big 12 changed in the last several
I looked that up
weeks?
for you, my friend. So it kind of depends on where you look. Yeah, Matt, I put them up side by side in a Word doc here.
So we're looking at preseason odds here, correct?
On the left was like the consensus preseason odds.
Mm-hmm. With Kansas
On the
State
right-
and Utah basically co-favorites.
Yep. And on the right is where it stands today in the Perspective Sportsbook. So like BetMGM has Iowa State as the favorite to win the Big 12 right now. Others do not. I don't think like the Caesars app here must have it must not have updated when I pulled this graphic because it still has Utah at plus 175. But yeah, Iowa State goes into the season at plus 1,200, and right now you're looking at about plus 400 to plus 375 for Iowa State.
Wow.
The big one. So what happens to Utah? Right, it really didn't change that much, and I'll tell you why. Because they still play Iowa State at home, and Vegas is still anticipating Utah beats Iowa State in Salt Lake. But I will say this, the Cam Rising thing, they better get him back. They have a bye week right now, and then they come back, and I think they go to Arizona State or something like that. But this is the second year in a row now, Chris, that we've seen Utah lose him and just be a completely different team. And I will say, too, that their win at Oklahoma State the week prior means significantly less to me now after watching what happened with Okie State in Manhattan over the weekend where they were completely outclassed. And I don't think Mike Gundy's team, who knows, we buried them last year. They lost to South Alabama and they won like 10 in a row. They could do that, but they're all but eliminated from Big 12 championship game contention with their two losses to Utah and Kansas State, because chances are they're going to be in a mix with those two teams in some capacity, and they've lost tiebreakers to those two. So I don't know. Like it's going to be wild. But Arizona beating Utah, though, all it did was confirm to me that this league is exactly what we thought it would be. And it's why Iowa State, too. It's like, yeah, you're a 14-point favorite over Baylor, but you got to put yourself on high upset alert every week, because I just think this league, there's just not a lot of difference between like the 8th best team and the 1st best team.
When looking at the updated odds, the thing that surprises me is how Colorado still is not one of the favorites in the Big 12, despite the fact they are 2-0, and they're still down there at 18-1. I mean, they went in and destroyed a UCF team that had the second best odds to win it going into that week. That was a 2-touchdown spread, and Colorado just knocked them on their ass. Now they have a tough schedule. Colorado does. They've got Kansas State next. They got to go to Arizona. They have to go to Texas Tech. They get Utah at home. They have Oklahoma State at home. So they play all the good teams other than Iowa State. How much does that suck? How unbelievable would it be if Iowa State and Colorado played? If Colorado came to Jack
Trice. They're playing like this weekend. Like how sick
that game would be sold out. I promise you.
Be like Big Fox. You know that.
It's just these conferences pisses me off. These conferences are so goddamn big.
Well,
I wish Iowa was playing Indiana.
And that's the issue with these freaking schedules, because it's like that's why they're down there. It's because their schedule. And then you look at, I want to say like, pretty sure Arizona has the easiest route. And remember, they are undefeated.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They lost to Kansas State, but that was not
so
a
ridiculous
conference game. I hate it. Like we screwed it up. We screwed it up.
Big time.
As being the sport, we should have 10 team leagues that are all division, all geographic. We effed this thing up big time, and there's no looking back. Unfortunately, we chose we could have made money doing that, but egos were involved in the suits, and they're at their expensive hotel in Palm Beach with Hassel, and they screw up everything they touch when it comes to this sport. But anyways, I'll back away from that. Real quick, I want to thank them dadgum Kuberski brothers. I got some pictures. Van Winkle, were you with the Kuberski brothers last week?
Oh yeah, I was with the Kuberskis on site.
Were you job shadowing Alex Kuberski?
They're doing some workout at Johnny Liebel's, so
nice.
Yeah, got some video with them out there, so we're gonna have a fun little ad coming for them pretty soon.
Dadgum Kuberskis. You can check them out for your lawn care, landscaping, snow removal. Locally owned company. Couple of great dudes right there. We got to spend some time with them back when Hassel. Why Hassel was so hungover. We bumped into the Kuberski brothers out at George Niang's golf outing, and the Kuberskis just kept bringing beer. They wouldn't stop. It's like, well, I still got 2 here. I have another.
Hey, we got to hit the Wayback Machine, right? The 2000.
Yeah. Iowa State's 4-0 for the first time since September 30th, the year 2000.
Y2K.
And Hassel had the idea to pull up pictures of all of us from the year 2000 to see how much has changed. Look at you. Who are these little girls? Who are these little girls?
Those are my sisters.
Oh.
We're now both married. The one on the left has multiple kids. That's Mary. On the right is Allie,
Is
and
she
that's
the one
me.
that puked up that burrito?
No. Neither. No. That is my dad's new wife's daughter. Not related in blood.
Oh, it was like
to
the
me.
steak. She was just vomiting steak all over the back of your car.
Oh God, chunks of it. So this was okay. This is the date's right on it. Look at that. It's late July of the year 2000. We're over at my Aunt Mary Kay's house. Looks like somebody's, I don't know, maybe graduation or something. Look at
like
those
a wedding
frosted
in the backyard?
tips.
Oh yeah.
I had just
Those
gotten
look
my
good.
braces off. Can you zoom in on that, Van Winkle toes? Zoom in on
one
that.
Those are
Because you
good
can
tips,
see,
man.
I frosted those tips, and that was right after I shaved my eyebrows off. And so
Oh, I
they're
forgot
coming
about
back. They're pencil thin. That was back when I was golfing every day.
Real quick, just in 30 seconds, for people who don't know, why did you shave your eyebrows off? We've talked about it on the show before.
I wanted to. I was kind of weirded out by that. Was when I started growing all kinds of body hair, and I just kind of
puberty, man.
Yeah, I went nuts one day, and I shaved like my entire body. It almost looks like I'm wearing lipstick too. My teeth are perfect white.
You look very, very dainty.
And look, I have sideburns though.
Yeah, no, you look good.
It's a
Look real good.
very early 2000s look.
Yeah, I look pretty good. I mean, other than the shaved eyebrows. I was in ninth grade. Oh my God, Williams!
Look at my tips.
Wait, you had frosted tips too?
You goddamn right, I did.
And a gold chain?
Yeah.
Wait, and you're wearing Tommy Hilfiger?
I was in quite.
Who
the
are
era.
you? This was. Look, you're all tanned up.
I
Look
was
how tan you
rebelling.
are.
That was out a trip. That's my sister.
Oh,
We're out
I was
in
going to
South-
ask if that was your girlfriend.
No, that's my sister. We're out in South Carolina right there with all the family out in South Carolina. Out worshiping the cocks out there. Look at that, though. I was a good-looking kid, wasn't I?
A chain.
You don't even look like the same person anymore.
I know. I've aged really poorly. You don't need to tell me.
Tank top, gold chain. There's you. Is that you and the cock
homecoming.
lover?
Yep, that's my
Homecoming?
mama. Nope.
Damn. In a blazer?
That
With
was
the-
homecoming, so
With
you have to dress up.
Blazer with the looks like the brass buttons on your shirt. Those gold brass buttons on your jacket.
It's my Friars Club jacket.
You got to cinch that tie. Look, you had a pretty strong jawline. Is that an ass chin you have? Do you have an ass chin?
Yeah, I do. Big ass chin. Absolutely.
Andy's got a bigger ass chin than
Van
you.
Winkle's like 3.
Wait.
I was 9.
Jesus, Van Winks.
This is
You playing
this,
card games at 9?
This might be. I might be 10 or
rolling
11 here. I
dice.
couldn't find exactly the year 2000, but yeah, this is
Matt,
around
you
that
look
time.
the exact same.
Who's the guy that's...
That's my brother. That's Clark.
That's your brother?
Yep, he's a year older than me. Yeah, we were
Wow.
camping. We were camping, I think, here. So
Oh, well, you guys look great. So that was the
I didn't
year
need
2000.
I didn't need frosted tips. I already had
Yeah,
the
you-
bleach blonde.
That's the last
Man, everybody
time.
was doing those tips back in the day, man.
hmm
That was, and then remember Eminem got hot, and all the dudes were just going the bleach blonde, and the people
Oh,
who
yeah.
couldn't do
That
it.
was
and,
before
like,
this, though. I had a year prior, 1999, is when I had bleach blonde hair.
That's cool. Well, if Iowa State goes 5-0, we won't be able to do this next week because none of us were alive.
What year was
Well,
that again? 80?
81 or 80, excuse me, 1980.
Simon said that he thinks that you glued Oreos above your eyes to fill in the eyebrows.
Oh, good win for the Clones. Very happy, very, very content with it. But I will say, and this is very nitpicky when you're 4-0. I understand that. But I can also realize that the 4-0 isn't great. The win at Iowa is impressive. But you haven't beaten, although that North Dakota team looks like a contender to win the FCS, so we may have to adjust our thoughts on that game. But the offense has got to come out stronger even against Baylor. Like, Baylor is a much more dynamic offense that I think will provide a significant challenge for Iowa State's defense that I hasn't seen this year. I know Baylor's 0-2, but they're a freaking Hail Mary and one possession away from being 2-0 in the Big 12. Right? You have to have nuance with these conversations. And while Iowa State is 4-0 and everybody's feeling good, they're not like, this isn't Bama playing Vanderbilt talent-wise. You know, like, you have to be on alert.
I'm with you there. Baylor's a desperate team.
Mm-hmm.
And not that this is going to affect the game, but I do sense a change in Iowa State fans. I feel like they're getting a little ahead of their skis with all these playoff projections.
I don't like
It's
this
all-
game.
It's
Like,
all
this
good
game,
and fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But,
Well,
man, you're
we gotta
setting
enjoy
yourself
it.
up for some disaster. We're still in September.
Well, let us enjoy it. This is cool. But this is like the old Saban don't eat the rat poison thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually really kind of happy with the defense. Like, and I don't know how much people pay attention to Pro Football Focus, or they should, but Iowa State's linebackers graded out horribly on Saturday night with their tackling numbers and stuff.
There's
And
some bulletin board material. You know,
Yeah.
it's good in that
It's-
locker room to have all this extra stuff that you really need to work on, despite the fact
Absolutely.
that you won by 20 points.
it's good that you're 4-0 and you know that you can still play your best football in front of you as far as how the offense goes. So I will leave it at that. Iowa gets Ohio State. Real quick, Iowa State was a 14.5-point favorite is what it opened against Baylor. Iowa is a 21-point underdog at Ohio State coming up on
That line
Saturday.
has come down. I saw in some places that thing opened 23.5, and it's come down. A lot of places now it's 20.5, and I think that's, that's people, I think, thinking that Iowa defensively might be able to at least keep this game tight. And I think that's a more appropriate number, like 20.5. If it's 24, I'm definitely going Iowa here. I don't think that there's – is there a 4-score gap, like, between Iowa and Ohio State? I don't know. We know how explosive Ohio State can be, and we only have to go back a couple years to that game, and we only have to look at the statistics. Like, I was going through the packet that CBS sent out, because this is a CBS game. You got old Bradley Nessler and Gary Danielson and Jenny Dell on the call once again, just like the game in Iowa City that Iowa lost. But, the thing that is going to be talked about all week and that really stands out from everything that they sent is Iowa's lost 7 straight games against AP-ranked opponents. 7 straight, going back to that top 5 game where they beat Penn State 3 years ago. And not only have they lost 7 straight, they haven't been competitive at all. They're losing by an average of 27 points per game in that span. They're scoring an average of 6 points per game in that span. And we saw the whole thing last year, the shutout 92-0 in the ranked matchups. This is the kind of the barometer for this Iowa program. This is a game that Iowa could, what's the word I'm looking for? Moral victory. Could come away with a moral victory here.
Totally okay with you saying that. Absolutely.
This is not, no one expects you to win, but God damn it, don't get embarrassed. They've had way too much of that, and you want to see this gap close a little bit, and this is the one chance you're probably going to have to do this, because you have no other, big-time teams on your schedule the rest of the way unless you make it to the Big Ten championship game. You got to show that you can at least be competitive with these top teams. And Ohio State is great. Ohio State might be the most talented team in the country. You're on the road. You're in the big house. You don't have to win it. What did Urban Meyer
say in the summer that it's the most talented team ever?
Yeah. And look, they haven't played anybody yet with a pulse. Ohio State was the very last team in the country, very last power team to play a power opponent. And it was this past week at I think a very below average Michigan State team. And
I still thought I was impressed by Ohio State.
Did I say big house? I'm sorry. I meant the Horseshoe.
That impressed me, though. Like, that was one of those trap Vegas games where you look at it and you're like, 24.5, bet on Michigan State. That they set us up. They set us all up for that because Michigan State has been better than I thought they would be, believe it or not. They're still not very good.
Right.
But that was one of those games like for Iowa early in the year. I watched them play, I think, at Maryland. Did they win at Maryland? Or
They did. I think they did.
That was one of my picks. They're a
the
lot better than I thought that they would be this year. So for Ohio State to just go in there and just be able to just effortlessly blow them out the way that they did, I was impressed.
What?
I don't think Will Howard's that good.
AJ says all Iowa fans he knows thinks they're going to win the game. What?
Shut up. Shut up.
Who are these Iowa fans? My dad? Hawkeyes 32, Ohio State 31.
Yeah, I mean, if Iowa goes in there and competes, I think you should be very happy, and it should be a very good sign for the rest of the year. Now, you had a good note here on our rundown that I think we should address. You said it's the last day of September. This is exactly where we had Iowa and Iowa State entering October, which you're correct. What is different than you imagined?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Iowa. What is different than I imagined is the holes we've seen in the defense we didn't anticipate, but is the offense where you wanted it to be with Iowa? Because I still have real questions on if they can get the ball down the field against a good defense, because we saw them against Iowa State and they did it for like 2 drives and then Haycock shut it down. They couldn't move the ball the rest of the game. I don't know if you're going to be able to do what you did with Caleb Johnson against Minnesota, against a program like Ohio State. I think you probably can against Michigan State maybe, but I don't know about Ohio State. Their special teams is exactly where I thought you would see. I thought you'd see a drop-off. It's not a deal where you can just wave a magic wand and replace Cooper DeJean and Torrey Taylor. But yeah, Iowa's offense to me, maybe I'm nuts, has shown a little bit of potential to be in that spot where we thought it needed to be. However, the defense has underperformed my expectations. What about you?
Yeah, defense has shown some holes. I thought the defense would be a little bit better and not show the propensity to give up monstrous plays. And they can still correct that stuff, maybe not this week. But, yeah, the offense, like if you would have told me what they would be averaging points per game-wise, over 30 a game, I would have been over the moon. I'd probably be thinking that they could compete with Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way they do it that has me, I don't know, more concerned because, yes, the running game has been close to elite. Like, I mean, you have one of the best running backs in the country. He certainly has been. But I would almost rather, instead of averaging 250 rushing yards a game, I would rather take 75 yards off of that and throw it into the passing game. Like, be more balanced. That's what has me worried. The offense is certainly a lot better, but can you be that one-dimensional? Like, at least there is a dimension. Like, they had been zero-dimensional,
no doubt,
for years. But I wish if they could just take some of that run team and put it into the passing game. Like, you got to be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit, and they have not shown that they could do that yet.
And it'll be really hard to do this week because Ohio State's just going to man you up and stack the box and try and take Caleb Johnson out. You know, what an opportunity for that kid, though. Going
Huge.
into this game, all these people are going to be watching. If you can go out and rip a couple, like we talk Heisman a lot on this show because it's a college football show. I mean, he's in the mix.
And he's a Cincinnati kid. He's an Ohio guy.
Yeah. So great opportunity.
Didn't get a look from Ohio State or really anybody else. It is.
This is a tricky game.
You saw what Genty did this past week for Boise State. Like, right now, Caleb Johnson would not be the Doak Walker winner, but he's got an opportunity here to make a big statement on a monstrous stage. If he can crack a couple big runs, and nobody has more 20-plus yard runs than Caleb has this season, I don't know how you're going to expect to do that against Ohio State. Because we know Ohio State's going to hit some big plays. Like, they're going to score in the 20s.
Yeah, you thought that Troy guy was good on the outside. And, you know, man.
Iowa's going to have to score several touchdowns to win this game. They're going to have to score in the upper 20s if they're going to win this game.
I want to thank our friends over at Game Day Men's Health for sponsoring Two Guys with Chris and Chris here on Iowa Everywhere. Continuing to have not only friends, but people tweet into me who are going to Game Day Men's Health in Ankeny, West Des Moines, and in North Liberty and Eastern Iowa. They've done a great job with me. We saw a picture from a listener who sent in. He's lost 100 pounds since he started going to Game Day Men's Health, which is freaking awesome. Thank them. Go in there and give them a shout-out and get your free testosterone test today. Also want to thank our friends at Iowa Event Center with all of their great work that they do here on Iowa Everywhere. What, we got Monster Jam?
Oh, yeah. Monster Jam coming April 12th and 13th. Tickets on sale tomorrow.
Monster Jam. Have you ever been to one of those?
Watch those monster trucks. No, I've never seen a monster truck in action. I think it would be too much for me. It seems like it would be way too loud.
Look who just ran into the studio.
Oh, hey, Diffie.
Oh, Diffie.
Wow, he's getting big.
He is getting big. He's like 30 pounds now. He's a big boy. He's thick. He's like a defensive tackle is what that boy's going to be. What else we got, Matt, coming up? Oh, the Globetrotters. This is always a good time.
Globetrotters tickets go on sale today at 10 o'clock, right after our show ends. So, HighVTix.com.
I'm looking at, so do the Globetrotters, so they now have women on the team. Do they also have kids? Are there kids on this picture too?
I think there might be little people.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
what do you
there's
mean?
Little people on it. They're not children. They're smaller humans.
Oh, okay.
They're not children.
It looked like that there were some children there.
They're very impressive. They get on the trampolines and they dunk, and yeah, I took my kids the last time. Oh, I'm gonna take them again. Yeah, we went to the last time the Globetrotters were in town. It was awesome. And it takes you a little back. Dude, speaking of nostalgia, you know what I did last night? Vikings are 4-0. If you didn't know. Beat up.
How about that, Williams? Your Vikings and your Cyclones, both 4-0.
Yeah, Van Winkle sent me a great text. I'll censor it, but he predicted that after the election, right before the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl and Iowa State's going to play in the playoff, America will break into a civil war and they'll have to cancel the season. Made me laugh.
Oh, God.
What was I? Oh, I'm really into the NFL, just paying attention to all this stuff. And did you know that Berman does NFL primetime now.
Yeah, isn't it on ESPN Plus?
Yeah, it's great.
He does it
got
with
all the
Booger McFarland, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it.
Yeah, they
really
just kind of bury it over on ESPN Plus though, so not many people know about it.
and they don't promote it. But God,
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Like it's just like when we were kids. It's got the same music. Like Berman would a whoop, all that stuff. Like it's phenomenal. So I've been watching that. Like I was talking nostalgia because of the Globetrotters. When you go back in there and that music hits,
The little people. By the
no,
way,
I was talking more of the music of the Globetrotters. But
Evan says that you're scared to say the M word.
you're not supposed to say that word.
Is that? But doesn't Iowa still have that team that's called? It's the Estherville
Yeah,
Midgets.
yeah,
Correct. Now, is that for midget cars, like midget car racing? And can you still say midget car?
yeah. You can say that.
How does Estherville get away with it?
I don't know.
Van
I don't
Winks,
know.
pull up a picture of the mascot for Estherville. It's something else. Anytime a conversation at work about like words you can't say anymore, things that have changed, I always say, well, back in Iowa, we've got this team called the Estherville Midgets, and it's a little guy in a wrestling leotard. Home of the midgets. So is it the midgets and the midgettes for the women? Or for the girls?
No way.
Midgets and midgettes?
There's no way they call them the midgets. There's no way that's...
How did they get away with it? It must not. Well, it has to be because it's a picture of a...
Ross Peterson and I used to fight over this, where he would call little people that, and I would be like, no, you're not supposed to do that
Ross
anymore.
Peterson would say that on the air?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Wow.
But he wasn't even being derogatory. He's just like, that's what they're called. I'm like, no, like, well, I think that's what they were called in like 1990.
Incredible.
So anyways, last but certainly not least, before we get into Triple B, our friends over at Freedom Tire.
Freedom. Freedom.
Freedom Tire. We've got locations in Altoona, Ames, Fleur Drive in Des Moines, West Des Moines, Urbandale. They're just taking over Freedom Tire. You can go to freedomtire.com and learn how you can, with all the good stuff that they do. New tires is what I would push you there for. Get those freaking new tires now before it starts to snow. Don't be the guy who's like, oh, we got a snowstorm coming in. My tires are bald. Go in there now and take care of it. Be proactive. Just wait till the last minute for everything. But they got all the major brands. They do vehicle maintenance, repairs, all that good stuff. FreedomTire.com, locally owned and operated.
Before you move on, you didn't answer a question about Iowa State.
What do you need?
Well, you teed it up. We talked about Iowa and how they're like how is this season going compared to expectations? Though we had Iowa State at 4-0, is there anything that's different about what you thought?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds stupid because going into last week, there was a stat somewhere where Iowa State had more explosive plays than anybody in the country. So,
Really?
yeah.
That
It was
can't be true.
One of the Vegas guys put that out, and I looked everywhere for it. I couldn't find it. But my
Well,
point
that
is,
can't be true
if you
because
if you just look at the numbers, their offense has been pretty good. Like it doesn't look, but it's felt underwhelming to me. Like there's something more to come. I will say this: they've been more of a defensive-oriented team than I anticipated they would be in the first month of the year. I thought it would be, the offense is really carrying the load.
That's exactly where I'm at too. I thought that the defense would have more holes, especially after that first game when you lose the Baconator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like after that, like absolutely.
I
Dude, they
didn't
were playing
expect Iowa
4
State to be up there. Right now, I think Iowa State is one of the top teams in the country defensively in many
top 5
statistics. Points per
scoring
game,
defense, they're top
yards
5.
allowed. But as Joya points out, Haycock, hey there, Cock, is a master.
No doubt. He's really good. He's really good. And they were playing 4 true freshmen at one point on defense the other night. Their secondary is absolutely underrated nationally. Like, it's got to be those 3 safeties, Verdon, Freeler, and Cooper are as good as anybody. And they've been incredible, especially with the young linebackers on Saturday night to come up and help those guys out. They didn't have their best game of the year. You know, you pitch a shutout, but still, tackling wasn't great. And that D-line has gotten better, you know, compared to that first game. I don't think they were very good in the first game, but J.R. Singleton in the middle has been an absolute monster. So the defense, yeah, but I'm hesitant to have a strong opinion because I think the defense is going to get tested more in the coming weeks with more dynamic offenses, starting with Baylor. And I think the offense is going to have its time. They haven't been bad. That's the thing.
Sure.
But they just started slow, and I feel like because of a lot of these slow starts, it's gotten Iowa State into these more defensive-oriented games and I think that there's going to be some of these Big 12 games where it's a track meet, and you're looking at, 35-28, that type of thing. I don't buy that the defense is top 5, and I don't buy that the offense is ranked wherever it is. I think you're going to go to the middle at some point in the year.
And Randy Peterson has a good article up at iowaeverywhere.com right now just on this start for Iowa State and how, things are a little nitpicky, but man, 4-0, highest ranked Big 12 team. Everything is out there. A lot to look to and a lot to be happy about.
Our friend Alex Gukin put this tweet out the other day from teamrankings.com, gives Iowa State's most likely finish at 10-2 this year. They also had them going undefeated at 7%, but 10-2.
Would you take 10-2 right now after a 4-0 start?
It's a good question.
If somebody
Van Winks over there said it'd be an absolute disappointment to go 9-3.
Honestly, though,
at this point, yes, it would be
a disappointment.
Yes.
Well, I'm just thinking back to where I had them at preseason, and I had them 9-1 going into those last 2 games at Utah and
because you had them losing to West
Kansas
Virginia.
State.
We both did. Yep.
We both, yes. And I'm looking at that game, and it's just jumping out at me. I don't like the looks of that West Virginia game at all. I don't like it.
I truly believe that. I think if you're power rating the Big 12 right now, you put Iowa State 1. Although Colorado and Arizona probably have the best wins, right? Going to UCF and to Utah.
Well, I mean, look at
but
what BYU. I know it was at home, but what they did to Kansas State, jeez.
Yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting about them. I'm not a
You're
believer.
just not buying into what? Why?
I'm not.
Was that one of your locks? BYU to cover against who were they?
No, I had Kansas State to cover against them.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I thought they'd blow them out. Yeah, and I bet against them this week too. You're right because I had Baylor at 3.5, and
you guys
they
both pushed on the Tech game.
God,
yeah,
that was
ridiculous. We had a decent week overall. Hassel goes, wait a minute. Minnesota came back, so you went.
Yes, I went
1-1.
I was looking. I was so close to 3-0. Minnesota just.
So I went
2-1-1. 2-1-1. Yep.
2-1-1. Okay. Well, let's get into our bigger, better, bolder.
Bigger, better, bolder. Built by Kelderman Manufacturing.
All right. I'll start. The UNLV football team, surprisingly, is the talk of all of sports at the end of last week because their quarterback, Sluka, announces midweek that he's leaving because he didn't get his NIL payments or whatever. They go from being like a 6-point favorite to an underdog against Fresno on Saturday. And I'm not going to pretend like I have all the details here because I have no clue, right? But I do know that in sports, often coaches have told me that when you're down a guy, like when a guy drops off for one reason or another, if it's injury, if it's like a bad egg, you often will get a bounce back. And this UNLV team was super impressive. 59-14 over Fresno. And again, I'm not taking sides. If this kid was promised something and he didn't get it, that's a whole different deal. But it doesn't impact the rest of the team that probably feels like their quarterback quit on them. Mm-hmm. And these dudes rallied.
And they're one of their top running backs.
Yeah, bounced as well. And these guys just kicked the shit out of Fresno, and they maintain their spot as probably the best group of 5 team right now. So that's a great story, no matter how you look at it. UNLV Rebels. Bigger, better, bolder.
And they've got a game this Friday at home against Syracuse.
Nice.
9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central. And they're ranked now, number 25 in the land. Yeah, if it's not UNLV is my favorite team, but I think Boise State is ranked higher right now, and they took out Washington State, so they would be technically, I guess, if you're going by the AP poll. But Boise has a loss. UNLV does not. And all gas, no breakfast points out. Did you see that Mike Palm over at Circa offered $100,000 to keep that quarterback on the team, and UNLV said no?
I did, and so
cat's out of the bag at that point.
And did you see the UNLV put out a statement about it?
What did they say?
We will no longer be doing business with the Sluka family.
Really?
Yeah, they put out an actual press release that said that. And then it was one of UNLV's wide receivers after the game tweeted at Palm and Circa and said, "Hey, can you give that $100,000 to our offensive line?" Which was kind of cool.
Nice.
Which was kind of, because most of these, from what I understand, at that level, most of these guys are not getting paid. Like they're just on scholarship like the old days. What do you got, Hassel?
You know what? I'm going to give some flowers to a program that we've kind of poked fun of.
Mm-hmm. Very deserving.
The Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, it seems like every week we come on here like this is a 4 or 5 win team. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
They went and just destroyed UCF. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. He should be number 1 on everybody's Heisman ballot right now. The things that he is doing offensively and defensively. And this was a game, I had it on my Get Up, It's Game Day top 3 games of the week because of the contrasting styles and what the narrative was. Like, it just didn't seem like Colorado would be able to go blow for blow with a team like UCF that was just going to overpower them and run all over them. I mean, they showed that they can play that game and they can beat your ass. And they're 2-0 in the Big 12 now, and they've exceeded my expectations. And I think the Big 12 is certainly a lot more interesting and better if Colorado is a legit team, and it seems like they could be. After, I mean, you go in and you do that to UCF. Maybe we're overrating UCF. Certainly,
probably
Vegas
a little bit
was.
of both.
But next up, they have a bye week, and then they host Kansas State, and then they go to Arizona. So it's going to be interesting moving forward with them.
I think the reason their odds are so low to win the league, one, is they probably have the toughest schedule remaining. But I also think that it's kind of a fool me once, fool me twice thing with them because of their perceived lack of depth in the middle. And, you know, what are they going to be like in November if they would lose a guy or two? But what they've done so far, I couldn't agree more.
Really impressive.
And Shadir Sanders, if Travis Hunter isn't number 1 on the Heisman, like Sanders has got to be on your ballot, I think. If it's the most outstanding, like these guys are unbelievable what they're doing because they really don't have great players in the middle protecting them. Sanders is running for his life, although they were much better against Central Florida. So absolutely, that was the best game Deion Sanders has coached in his career.
Yeah,
that win.
I 100% agree.
Matty Van Winkle, where are you at, brother?
Well, Georgia and Alabama was on at the same time as the Iowa State game, which was a travesty. We couldn't watch the whole thing. But I was following the score during the game, And Georgia goes up 30-7 at halftime, and I'm like, all right, this one's done. Well, after the Iowa State game, there's still
Bama went up 30-7. Yeah,
Bama went up 30-7. Excuse me. Yeah, and I turned this game on, and I'm like, there's no way Georgia can come back. Sure enough, they take the lead with like 2 minutes left in the game on this crazy play from Carson Beck to Dylan Bell. And, Alabama has just enough time to go down and score. Well, they didn't need that much time. It was one play, this insane catch. You guys have seen the top 10.
The 17-year-old.
17-year-old Ryan Williams made this insane catch, spins around a guy, 75 yards to the house. And then Georgia, to their credit, had another chance to go down and score a touchdown, and Bama picked it off in the end zone. But this was just a classic college football game. Unbelievable drama. It lived up to the hype.
Oh,
just a fun game to watch.
It exceeded the hype.
Oh, my God, yeah. And there were people saying that because of the expanded playoff that, well, games like this won't matter as much, it won't be. Give me a break.
I was watching like College Game Day leading up to this, and it's just, a suck-up fest of the SEC. And, but, man, this
high-level football. That was one of the
incredible.
best individual plays I've ever seen by that 17-year-old receiver. Everything about it. The catch, his footwork, the jukes afterwards. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
I had my 3 TV set up. Iowa State's on the big one. I had the Braves walking off the Royals on the second one, and on my third one was this game, and I turned it off. And then once the Braves game was over, I had Texas Tech game on, and I had I don't even know what it was. I had another. I completely wiped this one off. I didn't even. And then we have that text chain, and Dave Zavolinsky is just losing his mind that Georgia's going to come back and win it. And I'll be damned, he almost predicted it. That's an all-time classic.
It is.
That has to be a top 10 game in college football history.
Paul Feinbaum was on ESPN the other day saying that's the best SEC game that he's seen in 40 years of covering the league.
God, it was incredible. And those two teams are so good.
Oh, sign me up for a rematch in the SEC championship game.
All right, well, if you're going to go out and watch baseball today, go out to one of our full court press partners and maybe go to the Iowa Tap Room and sit there and sit at the bar with the old grain bin right there, and you can pop up a good baseball game and have some good Iowa beers. Appreciate their sponsorship.
2 Monday night games tonight, too.
2 Monday. Are we doing that more often? Like, is there a strategy behind that?
I don't know the rhyme or reason and why. Like, it used to be, it was like the first week. Mm-hmm. Week 1, you'd have 2 Monday night games. But these last couple years, it's been kind of hidden in the middle. So you got Titans, Dolphins, and then Seahawks, Lions. That's the game that'll start 45 minutes after Titans, Dolphins. So thank God for that, because that's going to be – now, both games should be close. The spreads are tight. But you actually have a good matchup. 3-0 Seahawks, 2-1 Lions in that other one.
Good stuff.
By the way, I know I let a lot of people down by not picking Brock Purdy for my triple B. So, but there'll be plenty of other opportunities down the road.
They were playing the Patriots.
I saw you throwing out propaganda on Twitter.
Yeah, and you see this.
I think I retweeted it.
Your boys at CBS Hassel put out this great stat too after the game. Highest passer rating over the first 25 career starts since the merger in the NFL. Brock Purdy, number 1 over Patrick
Purdy
Mahomes.
ahead of Mahomes and Kurt Warner and everybody else. Wow, that's a good stat.
He just has such a command out there. It is really, really impressive with just watching him. He's like a maestro.
The maestro, Bob Cobb. Seinfeld reference.
All right, everybody have a great Monday. We appreciate it. Murphy,
am I less puffy now than when the show started?
Yeah, much less puffy. You're like a totally
not as puffed
guy.
up. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like if I sleep for 12 hours, it takes me like 2 hours to get morning face off of my face.
You look great.
I have a question about your Vermont trip.
Yeah.
Did you go and like smell the trees? Did you get out and touch the leaves?
Oh yeah, I was touching, I was poking, I was picking, I was prodding.
If you pull the leaves, that's like you can't do that.
Well, no, I wouldn't pull them off the tree. I would pull them off the ground. Smell them.
Do they have good fall beers out there?
They do. I had some Oktoberfest beer, which was local. I also had, when I was watching those games at that bar, on the picture I showed you. You see that little mule next to me?
Yeah. What was in
That was like a pumpkin spiced mule.
Oh.
Oh yeah. I had about 3 of those sitting there watching my 3 screens.
Pumpkin mule. That is right where Daddy likes it.
Daddy. Oh, the Steeple Ridge.
Have a great Monday. Murph and Andy will be live here at 1.